You know that feeling of pushing a heavy boulder up a steep, muddy hill? You're straining every muscle, your heart is pounding, and you're sweating through your clothes just to move it an inch. Every time you stop to catch your breath, the boulder threatens to roll back and crush you. That is what building wealth feels like for the first few years. Most financial gurus will tell you that the path to wealth is a straight, linear line, that if you just save a little every month, you'll magically wake up rich. But they're lying to you. Money doesn't work in a straight line. It follows the laws of physics, and the most important thing you need to understand is that those laws fundamentally change once you hit $100,000. Below that line, you are Sisyphus. You're doing 100% of the work. But above that line, gravity starts working for you instead of against you. My name is Susan, and today I'm going to show you the exact mathematical and psychological crossover point where your money starts working harder than you do, and why getting to that first 6 figures is the hardest thing you'll ever do, but also the last time you'll ever have to grind that hard. Let's start with the puddle phase. Imagine you're trying to fill a massive swimming pool with nothing but a regular garden hose. For the first several hours, you're not looking at a pool. You're looking at a pathetic little puddle spread across the bottom. If the sun comes out, that puddle might even evaporate before it grows. This is what it feels like to save your first $10,000 or $20,000. When you have $10,000 invested and the market has a great year, returning 8%, you make $800. That's about $66 a month. It doesn't even cover your grocery bill or your phone plan. You look at your account, and it feels like nothing is happening. You're making sacrifices, skipping dinners out, and driving a 10-year-old car, but the needle barely moves. This is where 90% of people quit. They decide the puddle isn't worth the effort, and they go buy a new truck or a nicer apartment instead. But hitting that first $20,000 is actually a secret psychological milestone. It's the first real crest of the hill. Research shows that reaching a 5-figure balance like $10,000 or $20,000 actually reduces your cortisol levels, your body's primary stress hormone. Suddenly, you aren't in survival mode anymore. When you're broke, your brain is reactive. Every check engine light or broken laptop is a catastrophe. But with that first $20,000 buffer, those disasters become mere inconveniences. You finally have the mental bandwidth to stop asking, how do I survive? And start asking, how do I grow? Now, let's talk about the physics change at $100,000. This is the threshold Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett obsessed over. They called it the hardest $100,000 you'll ever make. But the most important, why? Because below $100,000, compound interest is essentially invisible. But once you cross that line, your money develops its own personality. It starts to have its own momentum. At $100,000, an 8% market return gives you $8,000 a year. Now you can actually see it. That's $666 a month appearing in your account while you sleep. If you're earning a $70,000 salary, your capital is now producing more than 11% of your income for you. You start to see your job as a choice rather than a necessity. The handcuffs feel a little looser. This leads us to the crossover point, the most magical moment in a wealth builder's life. Think of it like a massive stone wheel. Early on, you're pushing with everything you have, and the wheel barely moves. You're exhausted. But as it picks up speed, your pushes add more and more momentum until eventually the wheel is spinning so fast that your individual pushes barely matter anymore. The wheel has its own energy. The crossover point is the exact mathematical moment when your portfolio's annual growth exceeds your annual contributions. Let's say you're investing $20,000 a year. When you have $500,000 invested at a 7% return, the market hands you $35,000 in gains. Your $20,000 contribution now looks small compared to what the market just gave you. Compounding has taken over the driver's seat, and you are officially a passenger watching your wealth multiply. This is where you hit escape velocity. You could literally stop contributing entirely, and the momentum of that $500,000 would still carry you to $1 million in just 11 more years, you're no longer working for money. Your money is your most productive employee, working 24 hours a day without a vacation or a raise. But here's the catch that the financial industry won't tell you. You cannot accidentally save your way to this level of security. You have to intentionally behave differently than the 99% who stay stuck in the puddle phase forever. Most people hit $20,000 and immediately blow it on a reward for their good behavior. A new car or a down payment on a house they can barely afford. To reach the physics change, you have to master the identity shift. You have to stop seeing yourself as a consumer and start seeing yourself as an accumulator. You have to realize that the person driving the old Honda with $100,000 in the bank is actually in a much more powerful position than the person driving the leased BMW with zero savings. One is a slave to their lifestyle. The other is the master of their time. So here is your mission for this week. Not someday, but this week. First, audit your real hourly wage. Stop looking at your gross salary. It's a vanity metric. Subtract your taxes, your commute costs, and your decompression spending, the money you spend just to forget about the job you hate. When you see that you might only be making $8 or $10 an hour in margin, you'll realize why every dollar you save is actually $1 million choice. Second, calculate your personal crossover point. Take your current portfolio, multiply it by 7%, and compare it to your annual savings. If you aren't there yet, find that target number. Is it $300,000? Is it $500,000? That is your finish line. Once you hit that, you never have to grind out of fear again. The journey to $100,000 is a brutal uphill slog. It's slow, it's boring, and it feels like nothing's happening. But if you can survive the puddle phase and keep the hose running, you will cross that threshold where the physics of money changes forever. You'll move from surviving to designing your life. The years are going to pass anyway. 20 years from now, you will either have $500,000 and true financial security, or you won't. The only difference is the decisions you make today while that boulder is still at the bottom of the hill. Start pushing. Your future self is counting on you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.